I've made so many mistakes as a content creator and influencer. I've been in this industry for going on 6 years now, which is absolutely insane to think about. But when I first went full time, I moved to LA and I was like, I'm gonna make content creation a thing for me. This is my new career path. I so desperately wanted help to know what mistakes not to make. And I would watch so many videos like this, but they were all so much of the same thing of I wasn't consistent or I didn't read my analytics and, all these like basic things. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the mistakes that I made as a content creator very early on that did derail my path just a little bit, but luckily I am back on track. So if you're new here, my name is BME Queen. My real name is India, but I talk a lot about content creator education as well as vlogging my life here on YouTube. And I also do a lot of Korean skincare product review now. So if that's an interest to you, make sure you hit the subscribe because we are also doing Vlogmas this year. Okay. So one of the mistakes that I made when I first went full time was trying to consistently go viral. And people say that you don't want to go viral for so many different reasons. And one, they're right. I'm so sorry. Hate to break it to you, but focusing on going viral gets you the wrong type of attention because if you want this to be a long-term career, a viral moment isn't necessarily going to do it for you. And a lot of people look at creators like Jules, who did the Demure trend, or people like Risa Tisa, who did that entire series. And even though they had a viral moment, it is very difficult for them now, which I've actually heard them say in various videos, for them to prolong their career and keep it a long-term career. So a lot of people will jump on you for the opportunity to essentially make money off of you, whether it be managers, brands, whatever it may be, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a long-term career. So if you're someone who is in this for the long haul, like you want the flexibility of time freedom and financial freedom, and also just having a lifestyle that you enjoy and that you really want to have for a long time, going viral isn't going to do it for you. Now, when you're creating content, especially early on, you don't know what's viral and what's not. But as you start to create content more and more, you start to notice different trends of what is going viral versus, what videos have really taken off for you in the past. And specifically, I have had so many viral videos, and by viral, I mean over 1 million views. Ultra viral, I would consider to be like over 5 million views and so on and so forth. But when you have these viral videos, it can do one of two things, right? It can kind of pigeonhole you into a specific niche or into, talking about that same thing over and over and over again, which is dangerous if that one viral video is something that you don't typically talk about. Or it can kind of expose you to a lot of different things that you're not necessarily ready to be exposed to. So things like insane trolls, not just trolls, but like haters, people that will like dig into the depths of your life because you had this viral moment. There are just so many different weird things that can happen when you go viral. So early on, I was like, I want to go viral so that brands know that I can get them views. Yes, brands want to work with you if you get views, but brands also want to work with creators that are much more consistent because they too know that a viral moment is just a moment. So if you're someone that's focusing on, I need to get as much views as possible, it's probably not going to last for you long term. Hate to break it to you, but also from a brand perspective, if you're someone who's trying to consistently go viral, it doesn't necessarily create community. It just creates a bunch of views and a bunch of eyes, which for some people, virality is their plan. It is their strategy. However, I'm on the side of the creators where I like to really focus on community and having people that kind of grow with me along through the journey. Because when you grow over time, you're not going to be talking about the same topics over and over and over again. And instead, you're going to, branch out and talk about other things. So it allows you to grow with your career and allows your career to kind of be seamlessly intertwined with your lifestyle or the different paths that you were headed into. So a great example of this are creators who may start out, let's say, as fashion or makeup creators, and then they become a mom and they start doing like a lot of mom content and people are still really, really engaged with it. Is because they have a community, not necessarily a viral moment. So yeah, going viral isn't necessarily what you want. I know that is literally the one thing that people want to do when they first start creating content. Once you have that one moment, you're gonna be like, okay, great, like I'm glad this was over, but like, yeah, we need to keep going on the path that I want to go on. It also just sets you up for more long-term money, especially if you're someone who built your brand, your personal brand around brand deals and like having brand deals. If that's something that you're really interested in, it is so much better for you to have a community as opposed to a viral moment or a viral video. Now, the second thing that I made a mistake on, and it actually took my audience to tell me to do this, which is kind of crazy, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I was like, whatever. And that is being afraid to sell. A lot of women specifically are so afraid of selling online and just selling in general. But the thing is, like, when you're talking to your girlfriends, when you're telling them about something that you tried out or like the new product that you're using, whatever, you are selling to them. You just don't realize it. So let's say you go to brunch with your girlfriends and you guys are talking about like your new bag and you're like, oh my God, I love this bag. I just got it. It comes in different colors. I was really trying to decide between, the green and the black, but I ended up going with the black because I wear it so much more often. And, and they're like, oh my gosh, where'd you get this from? I would like the green option. And then you pull out your phone and you show them the link and you're like, here it is. And then you send it to them. That is influencing, babes. Okay. That is also selling. You don't really know that you're selling, but you are selling. What a lot of women think of selling as is like being like a car salesman. You don't have to be a car salesman on the internet. You don't have to do that. And most people are not. They're typically just sharing the things that they are really enjoying. So when I say I was afraid to sell, is that I was doing a lot of affiliate links. I was doing a lot of brand deals. I was doing a ton of different pointing to other businesses, but I wasn't pointing to anything that was within myself. So when someone commented my video, I feel like you should be selling me something by now, I was like, oh my gosh, what? Damn, what should I be selling? It took me a minute to be like, damn, I guess I have acquired all these skills. I know how to, talk online. I have this community who is actually following me. They're like, I've been following you for years and you don't sell me anything. So it took for them to tell me that to be like, damn, maybe I should create my own product or create something of my own. Now, when it's time for you to create your own product, you really don't know for sure. A lot of people are always like, oh my gosh, is this going to work? And that can be anything from your own digital product. It can be your own collabs and be the collab with a brand and it's a special product just for you. Maybe it is you have a physical product, sweatshirts, merch, whatever. Regardless of whatever you choose, you just need to choose something and test it out, right? The best way to know something's going to work for you is if you try. And I was really, really afraid of trying because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if this is right. And I've done so many different side quests on my platform. If you've been following me for a while, then you've seen all of the different side quests that I've gone on. And it's because I'm just testing to see what works. The people that are most successful are people who are just testing things over and over and over again, or different things over and over and over again, right? To see what works for them and what is their niche and what is something that they can really turn into a big business. Most entrepreneurs, and especially most creators that you see online that have millions of followers, they have done so many different things you would not be able to count. And a lot of people look at that and be like, oh, well, they have this booming business. They started their own brand, blah, blah, blah. It's probably the third brand they started. I'm being so honest. Most creators don't get it right the first time. So there's no expectation for you to get it right the first time either. So yeah, don't be afraid to sell. And also don't be afraid for linking products. I severely underestimated how often people would shop for my links. And as it turns out, they shop for them very often because it just makes it really convenient for them. So I was one of those people would be like, well, they can just type it in Google. Why wouldn't they just do that? And the thing is, you'd be surprised how many people refuse to type things in Google. Even if it's really, really simple to find, they're like, I just want to go to the link that you give me. And I'm like, you know what? Fine. Here it is. I'll take the commission. Do not be afraid to sell. Do not think you're being salesy. Do not think you're being a sleazy car salesman. Literally, it is so easy. Just talk about things that you enjoy. Because when you talk about things that you actually like, people feel that passion within you. And they're like, oh, wow, this is genuine. People can tell when you're faking it, right? They can tell when you're being honest. They can tell when you genuinely use something. They can tell. So don't be afraid to sell. Don't be afraid to put your name on something. Don't be afraid to do a collab. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. That's really the hardest part of this job. The other thing that I made a mistake of, and I think this one really came from not being confident in myself as a creator. I was very confident in myself as an engineer, but I really wasn't confident when it came to content creation, especially when I first started full time. And that was letting brands use me for different campaigns, different trips, just so many different things, right? That I was like, oh, this is a cool opportunity. They're a big brand, they have a big name. I should, do it. I should be involved because it's going to help me in the future. And first of all, most of those big name brands did not actually help push my career forward as much as I thought they would. It was just something to add to the resume or the list of things that I've done, but it wasn't ground staking, so crazy. So it wasn't as earth shattering as I thought it was going to be. But what it ended up being was detrimental to me because I was either seen as the diversity token or I was being seen as ingenuine from my audience members. I was just seen in ways that I didn't want to be seen. And I had an initial feeling when I was, deciding if I wanted to work with these brands, if I wanted to do certain collaborations, I would think damn, do I really need to do this? This is really aligned with me. And not all of them were paid, but I will say a lot of brands did recognize that I was not experienced and took advantage of that. And that is something that I deeply, deeply regret. because I should have been negotiating for myself. I should have known my own worth. And it takes a few experiences in this industry to really know what your worth is. Really, the only way you can know is by asking other people, what are you doing? How much were you paid? Were you doing this? And having conversation with people and creators that you trust, which we're going to get to that in the future, a little bit on in this video. But I would say overall, I now will not work with a brand that I don't think genuinely aligns with me. Now I am very intuitive of people that are aligned with me and people that are not, right? And when I realize that they are not, I leave. I head on out. I don't need to stay here much longer. The contract's over. Okay, great. We don't need to do this ever again. So do not let brands use you. Even if you are new, even if you have a small following, you still probably have a lot more influence than you think. So even when I had 10,000 followers, like I didn't think that I was as valuable to brands because I didn't have, millions of followers. But as it turns out, people really, really, really did rock with me, especially when I only had, 10,000 followers. So they were there from the beginning. So I had much more of an influence than I thought. And I didn't use that to my advantage, and instead brands take advantage of me. So definitely talk to people in the creator industry, just even if it's like a few people that you message online that are within like your creator range, like your follower range, to see like what they're doing and kind of compare notes. I think that's the easiest way to figure out, how you measure up within the grand scheme of this whole industry. Another thing that I kind of touched on is like not advocating for myself. There were a lot of times where I should have spoken up about different things that were going on. So whether it be my hair, whether it be my makeup for different like shoots and things, whether it be like the accommodation, whether it be how I was treated. Now I am a bitch, to be totally honest. I am now. I'm like, and it's not like it's not in a way of like I'm trying to put people beneath me, but in a way that I advocate for myself. So the grand scheme of things, I'm probably not being a bitch. I'm probably being just like an average white man. But when it was happening, I felt like I didn't have enough ploy or enough influence or enough of a voice to really speak up for myself and say the things that I wanted and needed from brands. So an example would be like a brand would say, oh, we want exclusivity for a month. And I wouldn't ask what brands, right? I would just be like, oh, just any like, skincare brand. Like, no, you need to be very specific. Hey, what brands is it exactly? I also would just let brands like pay me whenever. So like payment days can go like net 15 and net 30, net 60, net 90. And I would just accept the net 90 and be like, oh, it's not a big deal, whatever. No, it is a big deal. That's my money. I earned that. Okay. You need to freaking pay me on time. Now, always opt for the net 30. If it's not net 30, I'm just not going to do it. Sorry, not sorry. Anyway. So there were so many things that I just didn't advocate for myself for, especially in person. So anytime I was doing like an in-person event, or I just didn't want to be like a hassle. I didn't want to be the influencer that was giving people a hard time. But like, if I'm being treated differently, I should definitely say something about that. And also, if I need a different accommodation, or if you need a different accommodation for whatever reason, like you need to be able to say something. Okay. You need to be able to speak up for yourself. So things like dietary restrictions, I would just be like, oh, I'll just eat vegetarian. Like, no, I want chicken. There's no damn chicken left. Okay. Now I am just like so verbal and honest and communicative, and I will over communicate. If anything ever happens between me and brands, I am like on it and communicating with them. So I think now I have a reputation of being very communicative and also being very honest and verbal, and I don't hold back, because at the end of the day, like, everyone is not meant for me. I'm not meant for everyone. I completely totally understand that, and I also trust that all the opportunities that are actually meant for me are going to find me and they're going to work. So I have worked with different brands and different people that just did not align with me at all, and I kind of just stuck it out because I'm like, oh, well, I like the brand and blah, blah, blah. Listen, I could like your moisturizer all day long, but if I don't like the person that is on the screen or in that Zoom meeting, I'm not going to do it. Like, it's just not going to work. People move jobs and things all the time. So when you guys get a new person, great, we can work on that. I'll work with a different brand. Like, it's just not a big deal. I used to treat every single opportunity as if it were big in this like earth-shattering, crazy opportunity. And the truth is, everything isn't as big as you kind of make it seem. And I learned that the hard way. The other thing oh my gosh, I'm really getting into the weeds here. So another mistake that I made was expecting someone else to come and save me, aka a manager. And I've talked about getting a manager in a video a long time ago. Someone asked for an updated video, which I'll do in the future, probably like late Vlogmas. But I will say, when I was first looking for a manager, like the very first time, right, I gave them a lot of power. I was like, oh, they know the industry better than I do. They have more expertise. Like, they have connection with these brands. Like, they're the people that are going to put me on the map. And the truth of the situation is your manager works for you. And a lot of people don't treat it like that. If you have like an agent, or, if you're like kind of in the acting space too, like your agent works for you. If they're not giving you what you're paying for, then they should be working for you. Like, you have to like switch in your mind to be like, this person is an employee of me. They represent me, right? Whereas a lot of people kind of give the power to the manager and they're like, oh, the manager's going to handle it. Oh, the manager's going to do it. Yes, they have the title of manager, but they manage your business because you hired them, right? So when you think about it and reframe it in that way, then it allows you to take your power back, because you as the talent can do whatever the hell it is that you want and what you desire. And again, going back to the example I was just talking about, where even if I really love the brand, but I didn't like the brand team, I would still go through with it. Where now I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, if I don't like the management team, like I'm going to get out of this contract. Like, I don't want to do this. And it really requires you to have alignment and values and morals and goals with your management team, or just the manager, whoever it is that is working under you, because they do work for you, right? So I think a lot of creators especially think that once they get management, they're now going to have all these brand deals and they're going to be set and that's going to be their thing. And I'm not saying that you should be micromanaging your manager. I'm not saying that at all. Or managing up, which if they were for you, you would be managing up. Anyway, I'm not saying that you should be micromanaging your manager. What I am saying is that you do have the power in these scenarios to advocate for yourself and also steer your career. You decide where your career goes. So if your manager is someone that's really great at brand deals, but you want to do a lot more, commercial projects, or you want to do more modeling, or you want to get more into the acting space, right? And they don't have any experience in that, you need to get a new manager. And a lot of times creators will just rely on their managers to do everything for them. And then they'll complain at the end of the year when they're like, oh, I only got 4 brand deals. That's absolutely insane. Like, if you're someone that's actively posting, like, your manager should be bringing in more for you, or it should just be a different situation. So overall, I would say you really need to reframe your mindset in knowing that your manager works for you. And also, everyone does not need a manager. Let me put that out there. Everyone does not need a big, massive team. Most of the biggest creators you see, they have a very small team of maybe 3 people. And even the people who are making multiple 7 figures, they have like 2 people on their team, okay? You don't need a massive team, okay? So don't think that you need to. Also, every creator, just because you have followers, does not mean you need a manager. A lot of people manage themselves. Like, a lot of people are, on the back end typing the emails and doing that themselves. I would only recommend that you get a manager if you have no time. So if you're like working a full-time job and you also have a ton of inquiries coming in from brands and different projects and you just can't manage it yourself, that's when you would get a manager. Or, if you're full-time but you're working on a bunch of different projects and again, you just don't have time to manage your inbox and all the things that are coming in, again, you get a manager. I can just make a separate manager video. Let me know if you want to see that down in the comments. But yeah, manager's not going to save you, okay? Ultimately, your career is in your hands and they are someone that is supposed to help you, not elevate you. Okay, they are an assistant essentially to your career. They are not your entire career. So the next mistake that I made, and this one kind of goes against all the advice that I give in my videos, especially if you've been following me for a while, and that is that I wasn't posting about all of my interests because I wanted to remain in a single niche. And I think this is a very niche advice, pun intended, because when you are first starting out, it helps your profile to grow when you are posting about the same niche, even if it's just 3, right? If you do, maybe you do like finance and you do corporate girl outfits and you do maybe some like health and wellness stuff, right? It really helps your profile to just post about the same niche. It helps you get brand deals to post about the same niches over and over and over again. However, as you start growing, you need to show more of yourself, because there are things and opportunities that now that you have the exposure, you have the, the numbers, the eyes behind you, there are going to be more opportunities that you are qualified for. However, you won't ever know about them because you only post about it. You're kind of limiting yourself to certain topics. So an example with this, I kind of transitioned from travel to travel, tennis, and skiing. Still love it, still talk about it, do all the time. But within the last few months, I've started to post more about just like general thoughts on my mind and kind of like rants and raves and just like my own like personal hot takes on things. And that has helped me gain a very specific audience of people who are like, I just love your personality and like the insight that you give. And even though I still have the niches where I'm still posting about certain topics within like brand deals and things that I get, it has opened up my audience to more people because they're like, oh, I just generally have the same interests that you have in life. So now they're talking about this skiing, or now they're talking about tennis. Like, now I'm going to open up my ears because I trust you as a person as opposed to just trusting you as a tennis player. So hopefully that makes sense. I, again, advocate for the niche. Like, you need to, if you want to get brand deals, right? Have a niche. If you want to have an expertise in something, so maybe you want to have your own courses, you want to have your own products, you want to have maybe your own, like even like a TV show, right? It helps to have a niche, something that you are very good at, that you are known for. But as you grow that audience, there's going to be more eyes on you, meaning that there's more opportunity that can find you very easily, and they won't know about things you're interested in unless you post about them. So I don't say post about everything that you're interested in from early on because it just confuses everybody and no one knows what to follow you for. So just keep that in mind as you start to continue and grow and build your own profile. The other mistake that I made, and we're kind of getting to the end of the list here, and that is related to what I kind of said in the beginning, and is befriending people that didn't have the same goals as me. Now, when I first moved to LA, I met a lot of creators. I came from Delaware, which there weren't a lot of people that were content creators, especially full-time content creators. So when I met other people that were in this space, I was like, I need to learn as much as possible. I need to network. I need to figure out, people that I would want to align myself with, because I already know where I want to go in my mind. I want to see, how I can get there, or what it would look like in real life if I were to go down that path. I'm very much like I want to see it and believe it, not just see it to believe it, if that makes sense. So I really, really love having friendships and groups of people that are aligned with me and have similar goals to me, because it just keeps me on track. I am someone that is definitely self-motivated and self-disciplined, so I will put that out there. I don't need to have people around me, but I do like to have people around me. Anyway, that being said, I met a ton of creators. I went to events, I talked to other people, and I befriended people that weren't on the same path as me. Like, they just wanted to kind of coast in their careers, or they just want to do something else different, right? They were like, I don't really care about growing. I don't really care about doing this. Like, I just want to do this one thing, and that's it. That's not necessarily a problem to be focused on one thing, but I know I'm someone who has so many interests and so many things that I'm interested in and want to do, and so many projects that I am pursuing, that I'm like, this friendship isn't going to work. And what ended up happening was that I kind of outgrew the friendship, or outgrew the relationship, where I'm like, I'm headed in this direction, I'm blowing up on the internet, I'm like gaining followings, I'm getting all these brand deals, I'm getting all these opportunities, and that kind of created a friction within the relationship, because it was like, well, now this person's doing bigger and better than me, but like, I already knew that I wanted something different from you in the first place. So it's kind of like, you can't be mad at me for wanting something different and, going after it. I don't know. It just made it a very, friction, tension full relationship and friendship. And I would strongly suggest to other people that you surround yourself with people who have similar goals to you do. And even though sometimes people have the same goals as you, they don't pursue them in the same way as you. And that also matters, which I feel like a lot of people don't talk about. So for example, like, even if I met someone that also wanted to, I don't know, this is an example, someone who wanted to have their own TV show, right? That person may not pursue it in a way of content creation. They may pursue it on the back end, going through like the corporate space. And because of that, they just have a different outlook and a different perspective on what a TV show should be, or what a great creator looks like, or what great content seems like, so it's just like, we're not on the same path, even though we're trying to get to the same end goal. So overall, I think I'm just so much more picky about people that I befriend. And you definitely have to be, especially in this creator space, because being a creator is a privilege where you just have a different lifestyle than the average person, which a lot of people don't really anticipate. They kind of see themselves as a normal person because you started out as a normal person when you started creating content. But as you start to get more and more in your journey and you start to get these opportunities, people do look at you differently, and they see you in a different way, and they immediately kind of compare themselves to what you were doing. So I would just approach that with caution, okay? Don't really try to befriend every single person just because they're a creator. Really figure out their people that you align with, both, morals, values, goals, all of those things. And the last thing, which I think is so important, I can probably talk about for a full hour, but I'm gonna not do that. But that is, the mistake I made was explaining myself to people who just didn't get it. They just did not understand what I was trying to do. And I would try to make it clear, and I would over communicate, right? And be like, no, like, this is what it is, and blah, blah. And they just had every reason to like have a negative outlook, or to even just not believe what I was saying was possible. Or they're like, oh yeah, girl, okay. Like, you don't have to explain yourself to anyone, okay? It is your life. Whatever it is that you want to do, go freaking do it. Go do it. Don't explain yourself to people who don't get it. Honestly, don't explain yourself to people. Don't do it. Like, if you don't have to, don't. And the reason why I say if you don't have to is because typically a lot of people will explain like when they're in relationships. So if they have a partner and they're pursuing content creation, it's something that you have to talk about because, you know, it does like derail your relationship a little bit depending on what you're doing. It could just cause, you know, different issues down the line. I get that. But to your homegirl who like just wants to work a corporate job and climb the corporate ladder, she's not going to understand why you want to create content on the internet. Okay, she's not gonna get it. And if you don't feel like she's supportive in the first place, then you probably shouldn't explain it to her at all, or, you know, kind of like take a step back, I would say. But overall, I would say don't explain yourself to people, especially people on the internet. I think there are a lot of people online, again, as you grow, as you gain opportunities, as you start to become more successful in your industry, people start to see you in a different way. And it brings upon a lot of jealousy and criticism from people who don't know you. Also from people who do know you, but more so from people who don't know you too, that like want to comment on everything that you do. I just block those people. I don't explain anything. If I have to keep explain, and like I said, if the first time in the video, I probably even said in the caption and you didn't read it. So if that's not enough for you, that's fine. Move on. Go follow somebody else. There's plenty of creators on this internet. It ain't gotta be me, okay? So yeah, really, really look at who are you explaining yourself to and why. Because a lot of times I feel like people, at least for me, I feel like I had to explain myself because I wanted the validation. Like I want other people to just be understanding and be supportive, when the reality is most people aren't going to be understanding and they aren't going to be supportive, and you just have to kind of accept that and move on with your life. Ultimately, you are the only person that gets to live your life. So if you are trying to wait for the validation of other people, you're just really holding yourself up from what it is that you actually want to do. So those are all the mistakes that I made as a content creator, especially when I first went full time. So if you guys resonate with any of these, or if you like it, or if you want to see more, let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.